Hello there, dividend growth stock investors. It's Colby, the DGI Crab. Happy Monday to you. Hope your week is off to an excellent start, or hey, at least as excellent of a start as these four dividend focused ETFs are off to. Going to do a quick dividend update over the first 3 quarters for some very popular choices here: SCHD, SPYD, VIG, and VBR. These are 4 of the 8 ETFs that are included in the Great ETF Race, my every other Tuesday series of videos. We're going to check in here and see how they've done for the first 3 quarters of the year here so far and see how those dividend payments are stacking up so far this year and how they looked after the first 3 quarters of 2023. I'm not a licensed professional financial advisor. Always do your own due diligence. Don't do anything because I told you to do or not to do it. Do your own due diligence. All right, everybody. So, thought I would just break this down into the old spreadsheet here. I already did this for VYM and VYMI last week. So, we've got our these 4 here. So, as you can see, I've broken them down. We've got our 4 ETFs. What they did in the first 3 quarters of 2023 are represented up here, along with the total amount of dividends they paid out per share for those first 3 quarters, and then compared that to the first 3 quarters here of 2024 to see where our totals lined up here. So I'm not going to string you all along here. We're just going to get right into it here. So VIG paid out $229 in 2023. $250 so far in 2024. VBR, the Vanguard Small Cap Value ETF, paid out $265 last year compared to $283 this year. SCHD paid out $192 compared to $219 this year. And then finally, SPYD paid out $1.29 compared to $1.32 this year. So let's take a look at the actual increase amount. So if we kind of go quarter to quarter here, VIG successfully increased that amount each of the first 3 quarters, getting a total of a 21-cent increase, which is a 9.2% increase so far this year. Very happy with this so far. VIG, the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, I expect this one to increase its dividend payout annually year over year between 8 to 12%. So far, right on target. So hopefully they will do a better job also in Q4 than they did last year. Maybe we can get that up above 10%, which would be great for me. VBR, the small cap ETF, just barely paid out less in Q3 of 24 than it did in 23, just half a cent less per share, but they did beat the previous year in each of the first 2 quarters by a fairly significant stretch, still doing 18 cents better overall on the year for 6.5% of an increase. Very happy with this one as well. VBR usually is going to yield in the low 2%, that Vanguard small cap value. And I would expect dividend increases annually on this one to be, and small caps can be a little hit or miss with this, but I'd expect anywhere from like maybe 5 to 9% dividend increases year over year on this one. So again, this one's right in line. So I'm good with where this one stands right now. SCHD, everyone's been talking about SCHD for the last few days because they announced they're doing a 3-for-1 split of the shares, and they announced a pretty significant dividend increase. So all of that being said, we've got just a fantastic year for SCHD so far. Those dividend payments over the first 3 quarters are up 14.3% over what they were last year. Even if SCHD has a somewhat disappointing Q4, they're going to be absolutely crushing the dividend increase game this year. So the reason you've seen a lot of content from other creators on SCHD is because it's just great news. It continues to be just an absolutely fantastic ETF. And I don't blame you if that's your favorite dividend-focused ETF. I think there's a lot of great options out there. But if SCHD was the one you were going to focus in on and just do that one, it'd be hard to argue with the results on that. I do think that since they did a bit of a reconstruction, or they did their reconstruction earlier this year, they did add some higher yielding, lower growth stocks in there. So I'm not sure if this massive dividend increase streak is going to continue. I kind of could have predicted that it was going to look like this year. We'll have to see what it does next year. But I definitely understand why people are really jazzed about it this year. And if you're a shareholder of SCHD, a big congrats to you. And then finally, SPYD for our older investors that need the higher yield faster. You're going to get the 80 highest yielding stocks in the S&P 500 in this one. I've always liked SPYD with its low expense ratio, simple and easy to understand strategy, and emphasis on companies in the S&P 500. They've just kind of been hovering around similar numbers to what they did last year. This isn't a rapid dividend growth fund. They had a slow Q1 and actually did worse in Q1 than they did in Q1 of 23, but then beat in Q2 and Q3 fairly modestly, up 2 cents a share from where they were last year. 1.79% better. So not remarkably better, not anything to necessarily write home about. But if I can get SPYD to give me a 2 to 3% dividend increase year over year, while also paying out a starting yield in the high 4s, it's not super exciting, but it's not something that I think is a great investment for younger folks. It's a really nice spot to put your money for just stability and safety if you are in your older years, or if you're getting near retirement and you're just trying to add some higher yielding things to really push you over the edge and get you to that retirement number. This is just a nice, safe, consistent one that you can sleep pretty well at night knowing that, well, you're not going to get massive dividend increases. You're probably not going to see your dividends go down particularly either. It should be just a nice, stable one. So those are the 4 that we're going to cover here today. Still got a couple more to go over from that Great ETF Race group of 8. So that's going to be coming up later this week. I'm going to be analyzing DGRO and DHS as the final 2 here. But for now, these 4 are the ones that I had time for you today. Really happy with the performance of all of these. I think they're all right in line with expectations, with perhaps SCHD doing even better than what we might have thought. So let me know which ones of these that you all own. And as always, check out links in the description below to the 4 tiers. I've also included a link to the investing in ETFs according to your age video down there as well. Your age and time horizon, in my estimation, is the most important metric for a dividend growth stock investor to consider. And you can email me your questions at dgicrab@yahoo.com. I will always respond to your questions with an email. But if it's a pretty interesting question that requires a fair amount of response, let's just say, could be a great candidate for a DGI Crab video. So I hope that you'll send me in your questions. I'd love to interact with you and make content for you. This is going to be an interactive channel. I've always wanted to do it that way since starting it out. So can't do that without you all. I've still got a few more in the queue that are based off of viewer questions. But man, this is just the season of reporting ETF dividend increases. So I got to get that stuff out to you guys while that's still fresh in the news. So hang in there, be patient. I know a few of you are waiting on some video responses. But don't let that stop new questions from coming in, because I'm going to get to each and every one of them, you guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hit the good YouTube buttons for me while you're here, and I will see you on the next one.